Good evening, Mr. Chairman. It is 6 p.m. and we are live.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Tonight is November 17th, 2021. And this is the meeting of the Historic Resources Preservation Board. And Sherie, could we have the roll call?
Bob Lorenzo.
Here.
Steve Pickett.
Here.
Ricardo Martin.
Here.
Bill Feldkamp.
Here.
Chip is not here yet. Bernard Guthrie and Judy Fox momentarily, I believe. You have a quorum.
Wonderful. All right. Those who are here, would you rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Secretary, are there any additions, deletions, or reorderings?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have an addition. It is an email that I sent earlier today. It is for, I'm sorry, I believe it is on
307 North L Street.
Yes.
So that will come as the last item on the agenda after.
All righty. Okay, we have 3 sets of minutes to be approved. Does someone want to approve the September 8th set of minutes?
Sherie. I'll move to approve September 8th minutes. Second.
Seconded by Mr. Pickett. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
How about the September 15th minutes?
I move to approve the September 15th minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Approved. And the October 13th minutes where I was not here.
I move to approve the October minutes.
Minutes.
Oh dear, hold on 1 second.
I'll move to approve September 8th.
It's deja vu.
Yeah, it's when I don't close the browser, after a certain point in time, it creates an echo. I don't know why. So we're good.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are all approved.
Thank you. Try
Now,
not to do that too many times.
Ms. Coale, could you swear in staff and applicants, please?
Sure.
Hold on 1 second, Sherie. Let me just see who is here.
So Stevie is, sorry, you have to focus on these two.
Oh,
This one's not working.
No,
okay.
What is this city coming to?
I do TV.
It's in HD.
Those are blurry.
Mhm.
So I think it's just me for now.
How you doing?
Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that was easy. And we have proof of publication for 812 South Lakeside Drive. And board disclosures, Mr. Pickett, nothing, Mr. Martin,
Nothing.
As usual, I drove past and walked past all of the projects.
I got nothing.
Nothing. All right, that was easy. And let's get right on to new business.
Certainly. Sherie, could you just, the door is open for the folks who are here, but just in case somebody thinks the door is not open, then I'm gonna have Sherie just check.
Lot to tell.
So unfortunately, the screen is not working over here, but the other two are.
I lock her out.
Sue, can you see?
I can see that.
Good.
I also have.
So,
Find anybody?
No, I'll stay there.
good evening, Mr. Chairman. Erin Cita for the record. The first item on new business A is a request for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish an attached cardboard structure located at 812 South Lakeside. The subject property is in the single family zoning district and is also in the South Palm Park Local Historic District. You can see here's the location map. The property owners are actually Brian Mudd. It is on the east side of Lakeside Drive. You can see here is the proposed carport, the carport proposed for demolition, and then you can see kind of a rendering of how they would like it to look without the carport. Again, you can check. Here is from the Florida Master Site File form. Here's a photograph of the structure when it was designated. It is an Art Moderne structure. The carport is a rear and appears to be an addition, a later addition. Staff recommends that the board discuss the carport demolition after reviewing the decision criteria, which was included in your packet in attachment A. The property is contributing to the South Palm Park Local Historic District. The demolition criteria are in attachment A, but just to go through is the structure of interest or quality to fulfill designation as a landmark? Is it of a texture design to scale that is difficult to reproduce economically? Would the structure promote the general, would retaining the structure promote general welfare? Are there remaining examples in the city? And so on. So it has kind of that flavor. Staff doesn't have any proposed conditions of approval since it is a demolition. So it would be of just the carport structure.
Does that conclude your
Yes, Mr.
presentation already? We have a demolition requirement from the building department. Is that for this?
So this is a contributing, because the structure is contributing, not necessarily the carport, but the structure as a whole. Because it is not, it has not been condemned by the building official, you are required to approve a demolition of any kind. So that's
Okay.
why it's here.
Well, I went past this afternoon and it is gone.
Oh, great.
What do we do at that point?
I think we have them rebuild it.
And then we'll let them take it.
So I would say this property owner has had a particular problem by sometimes getting out a little ahead of themselves sometimes.
Mhm.
But that being said, I would state to review the demolition on the merits.
Yeah.
And make a decision. You know, I did not have time to drive by. I was trying to get out of the office, but I ran out of hours. But
Well, that photo on the right is not a artist rendering. That is exactly what's there. Got that wonderful deco modern medallions on it. It looks spectacular.
I mean,
The carport itself was clearly an addition. It has no merit that I can see, so I don't.
staff did not have a lot of consternation about the proposed demolition. I will say it like that.
right. I mean, those two houses, we used to live in the sister houses, we call them, with the blue circle. They've always been a great little landmark in our city.
Mhm.
And I agree. I mean, you know, that is an afterthought of the house. So no big deal.
The two houses together are a compound, I suppose.
So they're not allowed to be legally combined because it's a single family district. So they
Right.
are on separate parcels. They have organized their fencing.
And they have a single gate for the two
Right.
Yes.
properties.
Yes. So it's a little weird. And it was, but it was like, and now because we've changed the code for driveways, you couldn't actually do that configuration. Now we have a side setback requirement for driveways for drainage of 1 foot, which is pretty standard because you don't want people draining their hardscape onto your property. So in most cities, the city didn't have it. It is something that we established because people were paving up to the property line and then sheet flowing all of their water onto their neighbor. So actually what they did is kind of grandfathered in time because we did not have that requirement. They could pave up to the property line, but now they would not be able to do that configuration without a variance. They're kind of a time capsule.
Well, if there's no more discussion, can I hear a motion?
Somebody, you want me to do it?
Sure.
I move to approve HRPB 21-001-000-281 consideration of certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of an attached carport structure located at 812 South Lakeside Drive, based upon competent substantial evidence in the staff report and testimony at public hearings.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pickett. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. It's a beautiful house, beautiful restoration. I wish them a lot of luck. Next project is 704 Lake Avenue.
So this is agenda item B. This is a consideration for certificate of appropriateness for windows, both additions of windows and replacement of windows on a second story building of 704 Lake Avenue. The building, the windows on the second floor were filled in over time. And there's some evidence of there being some type of windows on the second floor. In the backup, actually, this is a staff report that was primarily prepared by our historic preservation consultant.
Because I was trying to figure out where they were originally, if they were.
So the applicant has stated that the windows, we'll get there. Let's get
Okay,
here's the
do it.
location. The owner is an LLC 702 704 Lake Avenue. The zoning district is downtown. So the proposed window configuration, this is the preferred one here. Staff and the staff report did not support this configuration as not being consistent. So the windows here on the front are, there probably was some type of window at one point, but it had long been since filled in. And then the applicant had stated in conversations that these were the locations of the windows that they uncovered in doing interior demolition. That there were previously windows there. And that does make sense because it's weird to have a second story and not have any windows.
Well, I was looking at, and I walked around, when I'm downtown, I know that building and I'm going, yeah, something's not right.
Yeah, so it was filled in over time. So at the time of the publication of the staff report, they had submitted this configuration, which we thought was better, but we weren't 100% sold on. There was a roughness of the concrete in the center, so staff had put in the conditions of approval to have that be smooth stucco if that was the preferred configuration. And then we continued to work with the applicant, and then we received this from the architect today. This is the staff's preferred configuration because it replicates as you can look on the bottom floor, it has the same division of light patterns, and kind of has I think what was tough for us in the first one is you'll see the heaviness of this, and really that kind of modern or art, masonry vernacular kind of vibe is much lighter for commercial structures and their windows fenestration and their trim. So we thought that this was a more appropriate configuration. For that particular facade. So basically, the addition of the new windows, staff feels would allow for the effective utilization of the second story, which is an unutilized commercial space, and would be a benefit to downtown from an economic development perspective. It is generally compatible and appropriate modification of the structure to have windows, especially since the applicant had uncovered that there were in fact windows on the second floor. Again, the concerns we had were related to the preferred window configuration with the flat picture window was not really appropriate for the architectural style. And then we just wanted you all to discuss, give direction on the east and west facades, which were the replacement windows. Are you comfortable with single hungs as proposed, or would you prefer a horizontal roller execution of those windows? So those are kind of the discussion.
Look at all the other old buildings with the second story downtown. They're all single hung windows.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. So and those patterns aren't uniform on the other buildings. I mean,
we didn't have a strong feeling about it, but we just wanted to get direction.
Mhm.
Now, did they bring up any type of awning or shutter or anything as far, because that's like standing up there on that block, it's gonna be hot.
This is what they proposed.
It's a different owner on the other side, right? They can't put an awning over the property next door.
I meant on the
Well,
front window.
apparently it
Oh, the
is a
front
single owner, because if it were two owners, there are some code issues that are
Right.
not our purview that say that if you have glass on a property line, it has to be Pyrex and it has to have fire extinguishers and sprinklers on it, and
Okay,
so if it's permitted at all. But I get the feeling that both of the buildings on either side are part of the single ownership.
Right, so
Yeah.
everything that says the painted green is all owned by the same person.
yeah,
Yeah, and the drawings shows the buildings between the property lines.
And the bottom floor is set back, so it does have kind of a natural, like, it's not flush, you know, it's set back a little bit. But yeah, this is what they proposed, was just kind of they had originally wanted a picture window, and then again, staff recommended kind of this divided light pattern. This is what the architect of record produced.
Well, I think that today's version is by far the best of the three.
yes.
Best of the three.
Mhm.
I would make sure that the mullions really did line up with the spaces below. They look like they're not quite lined up, or at least that the center section's lined up. But certainly it's good from a business point of view to have second story spaces occupied. I walked past this morning and the K to L Street section has no two-story buildings,
Right,
with the exception of the museum.
Yeah.
But no two-story buildings. I'm sure that at an earlier date, the town had more two-story buildings on Lake than we have now.
I believe, you know,
I'm
what's
just trying to
interesting
do
that you
that.
said that.
600 block.
Yes.
So we do the 600 block. I'm thinking like 615 was a fish market. Yeah. You had a couple of new ones there, but there might have been. I have to look at the old photos now.
I have included in the staff report.
No.
Where's that one?
Yeah, I mean,
Consultant found a photograph.
It's in the package, no?
Yeah.
there,
It's in the
yeah.
packet
Yeah.
of this particular.
Yeah, but it
block.
drops down.
Yeah, those two-story buildings on the left, I don't think they're there anymore.
No,
And they're good-looking buildings.
yep. Yeah. And the one like Evans.
Well, back to the project. If we were to approve today's version, are there changes to the conditions that we would need to make?
The front facade is building the configuration. Shall be
So
modified.
the condition that would change is condition number 1. If you would have to instead change condition number 1, strike it, and then instead select the alternate configuration 2. in
What do
the
you want to call
presentation.
it? Exhibit what?
Alternate configuration 2.
Alternate
I would do this conditions of approval here.
config 2.
Just share the screen. Folks at home can see. So basically, it would be condition number 1 is on the front facade of the building configuration and exhibit B of the staff report, which was the original alternate proposal that I showed you. That would just say that the front facade of the building window configuration shall reflect the alternate window configuration number 2 in the presentation.
So that first one would read, on the front facade of the building, the window configuration alternate condition 2 shall be modified to have a
Yeah,
smooth
yeah,
stucco.
just say the windows, yes.
And should we say mullions to align with first floor configuration?
If that's your recommendation, then yes,
Yeah.
we should say that. Let's say 9.
Did you get?
Okay, so the condition of approval on this, with the first condition would be on the front facade of the building, the window configuration
I would say shall reflect the configuration, shall be consistent with alternate window configuration too in the presentation.
In the presentation. Okay, do you want me to say it, or can we go by what you just
If you
said?
just say as Aaron stated.
As Aaron just stated,
Okay, and add to that mullions are to
and
align.
the mullions will align with the first floor window configuration.
And then are you good with the rest of the conditions for the 2-inch recess, which is
Yeah.
standard, the non-reflective low E per code, and then the all replacement stucco necessary for the window modification, so basically.
Yeah,
Smooth like the rest of the building.
and the side windows are single hung. That's part of the,
Everything would be as proposed.
As proposed.
okay.
Except for
All
the-
right.
Just a little thing, and I hate to digress at this point.
Okay.
But the 2-inch recess, usually the dimension is to the glass line. And you can have a flush mullion condition or flush jam condition and have the glass back 2 inches. And I think that's not what we're looking for. So in the future, maybe we can get together and revise that a little.
Just the
Well,
word
if
of
you're
that
gonna
sentence.
change that for this one, I mean,
No, I'm just,
Just for the future, let's,
this way your standard legal, your standard quotes are,
okay.
are more accurate.
yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, just honestly, like, give me direction on what you all want that to be, and then as a standard condition, and we'll just go forward and adopt it, so we can discuss that as board comments at
Okay,
the end about what is most appropriate.
okay.
Whatever works for you all, we're good.
Alrighty. May I have a motion?
Well, Bob made the
Oh.
motion.
Bob made the motion.
Well, I made the conditional approval. I didn't formally read the motion.
I'm sorry.
If you wish, I move to approve HRPB project number 2100100284 with staff recommendation conditions for certificate of appropriateness for window additions, replacement for the property located at 704 Lake Avenue based upon competent substantial evidence in the staff report and pursuant to the City of Lake Worth Beach land development regulations and historic preservation requirements.
And those conditions of approval would be as you,
As amended.
as modified.
And conditions of approval as modified.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Martin. Hey.
Hello, sir.
Good evening.
Sorry, I'm late. Let the record reflect that Chip Guthrie has arrived.
So far, we knocked down.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. With no further discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to new business item C.
Just see, I'll send an email to the other applicant. So the architect for 704 Lake Avenue emailed me, and he's also the architect for the L Street properties. He is stuck in, there's some kind of accident or something, he's stuck in traffic. So he's on his way. And then I don't see the architect. I don't know what's happened with the other architect for the conceptual review. So we'll go ahead and I'll show you the conceptual review and you guys can start digesting it, and then we can provide your comments to them, even if it's via video. So you
Can I make a question? This is a conceptual review, so this again is not binding. This will not
Right.
have a
it's not
vote today. So there are two conceptual reviews today, tonight.
So this particular property is located at 226 North Cade Street. You can see there's the general lot configuration there. This is a 4-unit multifamily building. It is going through concurrent minor site plan review to ensure compliance with the landscaping, setback, and other requirements in the code. It's generally in a consistent configuration that's consistent with our code. You can see the parking is in the rear on the alley. There is a landscape front yard and landscaping on the sides.
There's Judy Fox.
So we're gonna have to stop the Zoom meeting and restart it. Sherie, I think we have a Zoom issue. I think you started your personal Zoom meeting, and not the meeting. So people are waiting in the waiting room.
Who's on? Somebody fun?
All right, so let's. Hold on a second. So I think we're gonna have to end this. Hold on one second, and then we'll, Mr. Chairman, can we take a 5-minute recess?
All right.